I would like to speak on a topic that what do you mean by company, a company law, and its essential elements, and all the characteristics of a company. So, for today, we are going to initiate with this topic. And when we talk about this topic, when we heard a word company, what do you mean by a company? So, we have seen so many examples around us, that is, Samsung, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, all these other companies. When we heard these words, a company, so a company basically means association of persons. When we say a term company, that means an association of persons. But a company has been defined with the Latin term that has been substituted with two terms, that is com and penis. Com means together and penis means having a meal. So that means the company as in whole, it means so having a meal together in form of association of persons with a common objective or a future growth, where they all discuss the business activities. So and when we talk about this in the legal perspective, in the legal scenario, as per section 2 clause 20, a company has been defined as an association of persons of a separate legal entity with a common objective and with the motive of profit maximization. So this is known as a company and has been defined under section 2 clause 20. So if we move ahead with this procuring of company law, we talk about the essential elements, that what all essential elements should be included in a company law or in a company. So while including all these elements, so the very first element that should be included is the memorandum of association, articles of association, prospectus, statement in lieu of prospectus, all the necessity documentations, and thereafter the process of the company should be initiated, that we say as incorporation of a company and a registration of a company. So these all are the essential elements when we talk about a company. Moving ahead, all the characteristics that define the company. So when we talk about characteristics that are the key features or the key essential elements, we could say, which built a company or which help them to build a company. So let us see all the characteristics one by one. The very first characteristic is the corporate personality. So what do you mean by a corporate personality in terms of a company law? So if we talk about corporate personality means having a separate legal entity. When we talk about a company, there is always a term, a separate legal entity. That means a company has its own name, has its own status, has its own common seal. A company can borrow debts and incur debts on its own name. They can sell or buy a property on its own name. So that means a company is to be considered as a sole corporate legal personality. Second feature is company as an artificial person. So if we talk about company should be an artificial person, why we always say that a company is an artificial person? Why it is not a natural person or a human-made person, or as a human being we could say? So a company is always an artificial person is because a company is always created by law. Thereby it is always said to be as a separate legal entity. We as a human being, we are basically given by birth and we always die by death. So this is a human tendency. But when we talk about a company is always created by law. It is always registered under the registration process of a Companies Act 2013, and thereby it is always move ahead as per the given parameters, as per the given criteria. So therefore we always say it as a company as an artificial person. So the third characteristic is that a company is not a citizen. So when we talk about that company is not a citizen, it means a company as we have already seen in the previous feature, that company is always created by law. Therefore, if we talk about any natural person, it is unlike a natural person, that a natural person is always takes birth and therefore it is get registered under the Citizenship Act or under the Constitution of India, and thereby get its registration certificate, like a birth certificate it holds as a natural person. But a company doesn't have its process of a birth, but it does have its registration process, and whereby it obtains a certificate of registration, and then it could be considered as a registered company. So we cannot say it is a citizen. We are coming as a human, we are a citizen, and therefore we are getting a human tendency and a human registration certificate for that. So companies are always registered, but they are not always considered as a citizen under the Citizenship Act. So moving ahead, the next feature is company has its own nationality and a residence. Why we say so? When we talk about company having a nationality and a residence, that means whenever a company has been registered under a particular act or a particular state, so that state and that particular state is its residence, and that state of a country is its nationality. So we as a citizen of India, we always say India is our nationality. We always say we as an Indian, so that means we are imbibing with our nationality. So therefore the company is also with the same scenario. Suppose for an example, ABC company has been registered in Delhi, and so the Delhi is going to be considered as its residence where it has been registered, and Delhi under the Indian country. So therefore we say that ABC company has received its nationality through India, and it has its headquarter here itself. So thereby we say that a company has its nationality here. The moving ahead with the next feature, that is limited liability. When we talk about a liability, we always say as a member of a company, that means shareholders have always limited liability towards the company, because there is a key principle. We say you may have to pay what you have agreed upon. So that is the principle the shareholder follows, and therefore we say it as a limited liability. The next feature is perpetual succession. Perpetual succession means when we say as a human body, we are going to give a birth to our children and we are going to die by our death. That is a human tendency, and that uncertainty of a death describes about the death certificates, the death registration procedure. So a company is always created by law and it always ends by law. So we say a company is registered, that means a company has received its birth certificate, and when it has been died, so that means a company never dies, it always winden up. So the winden up procedure can be either voluntarily or by the courts. So this is how a perpetual succession has been defined. The next key concept, the next feature, characteristic is the transferability of shares. So when we talk about transferability of shares, shares can be easily transferable under a company law. So, but it can be restricted in private companies. It can be easily transferable in public companies. So and the next key feature is capacity to sue and to be sued. That means when we talk about a company, when a company is having a legal dispute or having a conflict between two other persons or a company can sue on its own name and can be sued by its own name. This was all for today. Thank you.